Hello, this is Joe Walensky from WritersUA, and I'm speaking with some of the many instructors that will be at our UA boot camp at WritersUA West coming up in Seattle in April. And today I'm talking with Matthew Ellison. Hello, Matthew.
Hello, Joe.
So, where are you talking to me from today?
I'm talking from my cabin at the end of my garden in the UK, southern UK, southern England.
All right. Well, I know that's also the area that you're going to be having the UA Europe conference in June. So good luck with that.
Thank you very much.
Matthew's also has his own consulting and training business for user assistance professionals, and we're going to talk about some of the things that you're typically involved with a lot of your consulting and training.
Okay.
And so there a couple of the advanced topics that you're going to be talking about at the conference. I just wanted to pick your brain on a little
Sure.
bit. One of those is search engine optimization and
Mm.
metadata. So, well, separate from the session itself, what are some of the things that where that skill area comes up in your work and how you find it to be useful in the things that you do?
Mm. Mm. Well, yeah, I mean, it's coming up increasingly these days. First of all, because search, I think, is without doubt the primary method that users use to search out information. Other than if they've managed to get to a topic through a context sensitive link. But if a user is hunting for information, they tend not to explore the TOC or use an index. They'll just dive in and use the search. That's if they choose to use our help in the first place. Of course, a lot of people will just go to Google, general search engine, and search there. And for that reason, first of all, I think it's really important that we do publish our content on the general web. And secondly, we really need to pay attention to getting our content up the rankings and making sure that it's in those first hits so that people get to our official content rather than the sort of third party provided or the unofficial stuff which may not be safe or accurate.
You know, I've found that that's an area that, well, anecdotally, people that I talk to in the profession m- maybe don't spend as much time on as you might think, considering how much people search through Google. I don't know if that, if if that's been
Yeah.
your experience, but I do think that it's just that it's because it's just one more thing for us to work on, or are there some things about it that
Yeah.
still seem mysterious to people, or what do you think about
Yeah.
that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it isn't that much work, to be honest. I mean, the actual process of publishing to the web, once you've got it set up, is relatively easy. And actually, this is slightly preempting what I'm going to be saying in my session, but actually, the process of making sure your content is high in the rankings is not about any special techniques. It's not about weird keywords or metadata. It really is about writing good copy, writing really well focused content that uses the kind of words that our users are looking for. So I think if we just focus on writing good content and using the words of our users rather than sort of using very abstruse technical terminology, then a lot of our content's gonna be up in the rankings quite naturally. It's all through good copywriting techniques.
And do you have any opinion as to whether or not the traditional help authoring tools that a lot of us use facilitate that, could do a better job in helping us,
Wow.
add in, make things appropriate for
Uh, I,
Google
I,
finding it
I'm
and indexing it and so on?
There's two things. They do allow us to index our content, but as a matter of fact, indexing and providing metadata doesn't actually help you much when it comes to people finding your content on the World Wide Web. Google tends to be more sophisticated than that these days, and will actually pretty much ignore meta keywords, even page descriptions, and focus more on the content. Having said that, it's certainly useful to add good keywords and good index entries for your kind of locally installed help. If you're creating help, which is to be in a in a chum interface, or even in a dedicated as a dedicated help system that you might build from RoboHelp or Flare or Doctor Help, then the keywords are going to help the search, because what you're using there is not Google search or Bing search, but you're using a search engine which is provided with the help authoring tool, and those search engines pay much more attention to keywords and index terms. So from that point of view, it certainly is. And the tools do a pretty good job. RoboHelp and Flare, for example, allow you to define synonyms for certain terms that you think users might not otherwise find. They provide great indexing tools, all of which will improve search results as well as giving you an index.
Well, the search engine session is one that's in our grad school advanced stream of the two streams, and another topic that you have in the advanced stream is related to authoring tools, a deep dive with RoboHelp and Flare. And so
Yeah.
this is aimed at more experienced practitioners. And so for people who have been working with those products, what kind of things are the areas that people can stretch out and expand their skills with?
I think the big area these days is in creating help which is truly responsive, and that's going to work well on a range of different screen sizes. Both Adobe with RoboHelp and Madcat with Flare have done a lot of work in recent versions, and I know are making improvements in the upcoming new versions as well. And I think this is definitely an area that people can get into, because it isn't just a matter of selecting the appropriate skin or the appropriate responsive window. There's also a variety of techniques you can use within your style sheets to handle images properly, to make sure that fonts are displayed at an appropriate size on on cell phones and on tablets, as well as desktop computers. So I would say that's definitely an area for people to get into. Expanding their understanding of CSS and a variety of different other responsive techniques and technologies.
Well, on the introductory side, we also have the sessions for people that are just getting involved in
Sure.
software user assistance, and you're going to be providing an overview of getting into help authoring tools. And for those of
Yeah.
us who have been doing this for a long time, we kind of know all the different tools, but I think for people that are just coming into this area, it it can be a little
Yeah.
it can be a little difficult to figure out which direction you're going to go and what kind of tool you're going to use.
I agree. I agree, because when you look at the tools and all the features they have and all the great marketing materials there are provided for all these tools, they all look fantastic. And they are all good, but the fact is that different tools suit different people's needs, and in particular different workflows. So what I'm planning to do in the session is not really give a kind of not just give a list of all the main tools and what features they have, but ask people to think about how are you planning to create your content? Are you primarily authoring for help and would like to have maybe printed documentation as a kind of added bonus, or is print your primary medium, or do you need to do a lot of content reuse with a kind of database approach suit you better, or is it, would you like to work based on Word? Are you comfortable with Word as an authoring tool? Do you want something which is essentially a kind of add-on to Word? These are all the sort of decision, all the sort of criteria you have to think about. And when you've decided on the way you want to work, and then you can make sensible decisions about which tools suit you best. So what I'm planning to do in the session is kind of identify the different types of tools, how each different type works and what the different workflows are, and then I'll tell people which of the main tools fit which of those models and workflows, and I'll maybe have time to do a little demonstration of one or two of the mainstream tools.
Yeah, well, with most of the tools when we're talking about building out a help system or some type of website, ultimately you can get to the same output, the same final deliverable with the
Yeah,
different tools. They just have very different ways of working.
exactly. I mean, all the tools tend to play catch up with each other in terms of the sort of final result and the features and the bells and whistles and everything else. But you're right, it's how you get there and the kind of overall the sort of the workflow and the way you work. And that differs quite considerably, and it really depends on the way you like to operate.
Yeah, and I think it helps to have experience with different tools because why give up the opportunity to if you're looking for a new position just because of the nature of this tool versus
Sure.
that
Yeah.
tool.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I think it's good to get experience with all the major
Uh,
ones.
Absolutely. And if you're too locked in on a single tool, you might be missing opportunities if some new tool has come out which is much better suited to your needs, then it really might be worth considering the pain of switching over. So I always think if you're going to a conference, it's well worth actually going to sessions that you feel aren't directly relevant to you to find out what you might be doing that you aren't currently doing, or the tools you might be using which you can't not currently aware of.
Hmm. Well, along the lines of tools, kind of a subset of that are tools for capturing screens,
Right?
and that's another topic you're going to cover in the boot camp introductory portions or introductory stream
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the
The screen
event.
capture tools have been an interest of mine for a few years. In fact, there's an article on the WritersUA website which I wrote and have been vaguely keeping up to date over the last few years, which again kind of talks about the different types of screen capture tool and the way they work. Um, uh,
You might think it, at one level, what do you really need to know about that? And if
yeah,
you've been doing it for a long time,
sure.
that might be the case. But what
Yeah.
I decided to include it as a module in a class I teach at the University of Washington
All right.
for newbies. And as I got into preparing that, suddenly it was, well, it's not that easy to first of all know what tool you're going to use for that, and then
Yeah.
secondly, being able to effectively pull together a screen capture that's appropriate for the context and fits in well with the type of
Mm.
materials you're doing. There's a lot involved there.
Yeah, and a lot of the screen capture tools aren't just about purely just capturing screens. A lot of them will add value by providing sort of cataloging facilities and also providing a very nice image editing capabilities that allow you to add vector-based call outs and annotations, which you can subsequently move around and edit if the screen capture changes. And another I think issue to be aware of is that there's a number of tools which are very heavily integrated with some of the main help authoring tools. For example, RoboHelp has Robo Screen Capture, and Flare has Madcap Capture. So if you're a Flare user, it probably makes sense for Madcap Capture to be one of your primary candidates as a screen capture tool because it's so well integrated into the Flare. You don't actually have to leave the Flare interface to even capture a screen and do a basic screen capture.
Right. Yep. Well, that makes sense, and so I'm sure people will get a lot of benefit from attending that at the event.
I hope so.
So thanks for taking the time to talk with me about this today, and I'll see you when you've made your journey here to the U.S. In April. We'll see you in
Yes.
Seattle.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks, Joe.
All right. Thanks a lot, Matt.
Bye.